Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive.
Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before I start today's video, I'd like to remind you that there's still 2 days left to get signed up for August's FPL TV Cup over on my Patreon page. For a small donation of $2 to the channel, you'll be entered into a Patreon-only league, and the winner will receive a range of FPL-related prizes each month you wish to enter. This includes a limited edition FPL TV t-shirt and mug, a 1-year subscription to Fantasy Football Hub, a copy of the excellent FPL book Wasting Your Wildcard, as well as the personally engraved FPL TV trophy. The league for August will run between game weeks 1 to 4, so if you fancy your chances, be sure to get signed up before Friday's deadline. I've got some big plans for FPL TV this season, so your small donation will go towards improving the quality and consistency of the FPL TV channel, as well as giving you guys a fun league to compete in every single month. Thank you for listening and for the support, and good luck to those that enter. Now let's get on with the video. With just a few days to go before the all-important Game Week 1, I'm starting to get an idea of how my side will line up come the deadline. And in this video, I'm going to discuss how it currently shapes up, along with a few other players that I'm considering to squeeze in. Firstly, let's start by looking at the team from my first draft video and see who still made the cut in my squad. Overall, 9 players have been kept in total, with Mohamed Salah and Raheem Sterling still stalwarts in my side, my 2 strong captain options. This means that 6 of my 15-man squad has now changed, so let's run through them. The first change I was keen to make is to replace the unsettled Wilfried Zaha with the slightly more expensive Ryan Fraser. Palace have looked a bit off the pace in pre-season, and with Zaha's future still up in the air, I've gone off owning him for the time being. Bournemouth and Fraser, on the other hand, have looked quite impressive during pre-season, and the Cherries boast 2 excellent opening fixtures against promoted clubs, which I'm finding very difficult to ignore. Upgrading Zaha to Fraser though does leave me slightly over budget, so to find that extra 0.5 million, it's unfortunately Alexander-Arnold who's had to make way, and his teammate Van Dijk comes in for $500,000 less. The most significant change since my last draft video is the now inclusion of Jamie Vardy up front at a costly 9 million, who I've brought in at the expense of Diogo Jota. Over the last few weeks, I've slowly convinced myself that I must own the consistent striker to begin the season, and despite a mixed bag of fixtures for Leicester, I'm expecting big things from them under Rodgers this year. In the final 10 game weeks of last season, Jamie Vardy was in fact the highest FPL point scorer in the entire game, which is the kind of form I'm hoping he can bring into the new season. As discussed in my Fixture Watch episode, Wolves could still provide excellent value this season, and Jota's a player I personally rate very highly. The downside is Wolves have a grueling Europa League qualifying campaign to think about, so potentially some early substitutions there for Jota, not to mention their new signing Cutrone, who could also be fighting for minutes. In order to afford this move, unfortunately it's the reliable Gylfi Sigurdsson who's had to make way in midfield, and in comes Brighton's new signing Trossard at 6 million. Admittedly, this one is a bit of a punt, and initially I wanted his teammate Glenn Murray up front at the same price instead. However, with the Seagulls now signing forward Neal Maupay, it's Trossard who feels a bit more guaranteed of minutes. The Belgian winger has looked impressive during pre-season though, playing quite far forward, and I like the look of Brighton's opening few fixtures. Him or Glenn Murray at 6 million is still a 50-50 I'm weighing up. The last few changes in my squad are small ones, with my 4 million bench defender Kelly going out and Sheffield United's Lundstram coming in. Lundstram has been featuring quite heavily for the Blades during pre-season, notably from midfield despite being listed as a defender, so even though he probably won't feature much in their starting 11, there's still a small chance he'll get minutes, and that's good enough for me on my bench. And lastly, for the goalkeeper, this is still a position I'm yet to decide on. Currently, it's Tom Heaton who replaces Matt Ryan in goal following his move to Aston Villa. With just 4.5 million to spend, Heaton, Ryan, Pope and Henderson are all potential options I could go for, but I do quite like Heaton's fixtures over the longer term. Admittedly, it's hard to see Villa keeping many clean sheets, but in the 4.5 million bracket, it's tricky to find a goalkeeper that will. Brighton's fixtures are better in the opening few weeks, so Matt Ryan is definitely still a consideration, whilst Dean Henderson at Sheffield United kept 21 clean sheets in the Championship last season. Therefore, it's a tough choice between these 3. So that's the changes I've made since my previous draft, and here's how the squad could line up for Game Week 1. And if you haven't already, be sure to get subscribed to FPL TV and hit the notification bell so you never miss an FPL upload. As for captaincy, my mind hasn't changed here. It was always going to be between my 2 big hitters in midfield, Salah and Sterling. And although Raheem Sterling is an excellent shout for the armband, I feel it could be a bit risky to go against the Egyptian at home to Norwich, especially with a very large proportion of managers set to captain him for Game Week 1. I'd like to say this is my final draft, but there's still a few players that are trying to squeeze their way into my final lineup before the deadline, so let's go through those. My issue with dropping Sigurdsson is that I no longer have any Everton cover, and with them arguably having the best fixtures of any team to start the season, it does feel a bit unwise to go without any of them. This is why his teammate Luca Digne is another player I could try to accommodate, so at least then I'd have one player from them during their nice opening run. Owning Sigurdsson though means I simply can't start the season with Jamie Vardy, and that's another 50-50 I'm still weighing up. Despite Virgil van Dijk being a great option at 6.5 million and undoubtedly more rotation proof, if I could, I would prefer to own Alexander-Arnold for that extra attacking potential. Van Dijk will tick over nicely throughout the season, but I feel Trent is capable of those big double-digit hauls on his day, and that's what has me worried. It's now just a case of finding that 0.5 million from somewhere, so I could downgrade Brighton's Trossard to a 5.5 midfielder instead, with McGinn and Callum Robinson potential candidates. Another way to save that money is perhaps downgrading Zinchenko to a cheaper defender, and Sheffield United's attacking wingback Ender Stevens could fit that bill at 5 million. Finally, the last player I've considered to rejig my squad for is City's Kevin De Bruyne, and I do like the idea of going for him as well as Raheem Sterling and owning both. Getting De Bruyne will of course have a big detriment to my squad, but when fit, he's tried and tested reliable FPL gold, which is therefore tempting when there's so much uncertainty to begin the season. Another incentive to own De Bruyne is that at 9.5 million, it gives me an easy route over to other players in his price bracket, such as Arsenal's Pepe and Tottenham's Son Heung-min, who could both end up being great players in FPL this year. Though at this kind of price, again it's Jamie Vardy who would have to leave my squad, as well as Ryan Fraser most likely, therefore it'd require big sacrifices to afford him. So that's how my current draft lines up, as well as a few other players that I'm considering to fit in before Friday. I'll be posting my final confirmed lineup over on Twitter shortly before the game week deadline, and if I get time I may post another video as well. As mentioned at the start of the video, if you'd like to enter the FPL TV League for August and have a chance of winning some great FPL prizes, then head over to patreon.com/FPLTV to find out more. I'll also leave a link in the description box below. Good luck to all of you for Game Week 1, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all in the Point Predictor.